Fellas, let's talk about fuel mileage. This is a 2025 Ram 3500, 342 rear end, and it's sitting on AT3s, 285, 65, 20. So when you're talking about fuel mileage, there's so many variables. A lot of people just ignore. A lot of people are like, fuel mileage is fuel mileage. I get this fuel mileage. Yeah. Tires, meaning, width, tire size, elevation has a big factor. Terrain overall, rolling hills or flat, stuff like that, This is the Oregon side of the country, so Oregon's not too bad, but it's not the greatest state to get solid fuel mileage in. Excuse me. Around town, this thing kind of hangs around that 14, but on the interstate's doing 16. Why that little of a difference? Guys, quite honestly, I think it comes down to that regen. The regen was hanging on, staying on for quite some time. And I was doing about 18.5 before the regen for a while there. And then the regen kicked in and just, drained my fuel mileage, just put it out the pipe so much for being eco-friendly. This whole, I've been hearing it lately, climate tax is a joke, which it is a joke. But, makes people happy, and whoever runs this company or this country makes them happy that we're being environmentally friendly here, just dumping more fuel out the pipe, let alone, making that fossil fuel, getting it out of the ground. I'm not going to get into that subject, but it's just so frustrating. We're going backwards so bad. Back to the topic of fuel mileage. Around town, there's so many variables. What do I expect? To me, a truck like this around town, average town, nothing, not out in the boonies, not out in the country, just an actual town. The guy lives in the city, probably 13.5 to 15, what I would expect him to average as a fuel tank average, or a lengthy average. On the interstate, I'd want to see this thing do. I think it should get 18 to 20, realistically, depending on your terrain, depending on, are you on the highway or are you on interstate? But, anything north of 50 miles an hour is considered a highway to me, for me. But straight up interstate, like I've been doing the last 550 miles, should be about that 18, 20. That's what most of this, high percentage of this fuel mileage was calculated on the interstate. I did very little in-town driving. I had a pallet in the bed for half the time, another half I'm completely empty. So, with that being said, take it for what it is, but this is the real world mileage of straight up interstate, and that's fairly poor. Is it acceptable? Yes. I've seen worse fuel mileage, but this is acceptable. By the time I get home, I think it'll creep up to about 17, because I don't foresee this thing regenning. Well, let me see. I don't foresee this thing regenning in the next at least 200-300 miles. The canisters are completely clean. So yeah, I'm pretty certain it's not going to regen anytime soon, at least not by the time I get home and I have another, 300 miles, give or take. So, yeah, it'll probably creep up to that 17 miles to the gallon. And with my tire correction, that would be 17.5, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, fellas, you guys, I know you guys want to see these real world videos, so here you go. You have it, We're going downhill a little bit right now, and it's 2021 as far as instantaneous goes with overall mileage since I reset it 16. So I'm not upset about it, but I definitely know Ram could do better. And for a fact, there was a time this truck did significantly better. When I purchased it and I did my first update at the dealership, whatever they did, this thing got significantly better fuel mileage. I would say about 1.5 better, and which puts it right in that ballpark of my definition of better, acceptable fuel mileage for this truck. It's getting up there in mileage before you sit there and say, well, it's a brand new truck, what do you want? Well, this thing's knocking on 38,000 miles. Well, 39,000 miles. It's well into its 38,000 miles. So, usually about 30,000 miles they're broken in. But yeah, Cummins, we typically did see better fuel mileage after 50,000 miles. So, I'm not going to say a whole lot about that. But for a fact, once they updated my my truck the second time, first thing I noticed is it ran better, ran more aggressive, but my fuel mileage got worse. And then the time after that they updated it, I lost the aggressiveness and had crap fuel mileage. And then this last time they updated it, they definitely sharpened up the throttle response, the transmission shifting. It's not quite where I'd like to see it as far as, transmission shifting. For some reason it wraps out second and third, but my fuel mileage is still in the gutter. So I know from factory they could do a lot better with fuel mileage. I just don't know why they couldn't keep my fuel mileage where it was second time around. All I was looking for a transmission to get improved, and the last the last 3 updates have been trash. Anyways, guys, as always, may the good Lord bless you. May y'all have a mighty fine day, and let me know what other real world videos you want to hear from me about this truck. I might be with that 450 that you guys see on my channel. It's been a busy bee. Like, it's been working pretty hard. I might have my hands on it for about a week, meaning just so the driver that's in that truck, I'm putting them knocking out a couple projects for me in the semi. So that Ford's either ran by him or I, so it's not going to go anywhere. Drivers don't, no one else gets inside of that truck. So I'll try to get y'all up to speed on that truck. I think that truck has about 20,000 miles on it, so hopefully I'll have it here shortly. As always, may the good Lord bless you, and may all have a mighty fine day. Ciao, bye.